You know what? I think the Buffalo Bills were ahead of the curve when they traded Stephon Diggs. When you look to see what's happening with the league's rest of the wide receivers right now, getting immense deals so that you've got to treat a wide receiver the same way financially that you think of a quarterback.
I mean, look, you're absolutely right. You bring up Justin Jefferson. CeeDee Lamb is waiting for his deal. That's going to be massive.
Yeah.
Miami, same division, who has to pay their quarterback right now, has 2 wide receivers that are making over $10 million each this year.
And Hill wants more.
He wants more money. Look, you're right. I mean, I hope, because me being a Bills fan, that Brandon Beane is seeing the tea leaves zagging where everyone else is zigging. He's going to take a huge jump, an advantage over everybody else. But I cannot see how you can win championships with that much of your cap space with these teams going towards a number 1 wide receiver, because they don't affect a game like a quarterback and they don't affect a game like a pass rusher.
And then you bring up Miami and the fact that Tua is sitting there waiting for a big check from the Miami Dolphins. And I don't think they're quite sure he's the guy that's going to be the signal caller in the next few years or so. They're still waiting on that deal. So this is quite interesting. You know, before I said about a couple of weeks ago, the Buffalo Bills, not quite sure where the number 1s are. The number 1s are going to cost you a whole lot of money. So maybe you develop a better wide receiver core. I'm not saying the Bills are set now. Maybe a guy gets cut. They pick up somebody down the line. They add to that wide receiver core. But I do understand it now. I get to see the temperature of the way running backs are being now with McCaffrey and him being re-signed. He's resetting the running back market. So it's a totally different game of money now where everything's going to the chips to the table for Allen. And this is going to hurt financially for Miami. Who knows where the Patriots will be, and the Jets, for that matter, too, with their high-priced quarterback who got injured last year.
It is changing, and I think Kansas City set the pattern when they traded Hill. They saw the handwriting on the wall. Scott's going to cost us more than we're willing to pay him. We're going to try to get away with Rice, on a rookie deal and see if we can't cobble something together. And they won a Super Bowl with that formula.
And Mahomes redid his contract in order to help them do that.
Sure, well, redid his contract. He ends up making more money on the back end. Look, I mean, you bring up the Chiefs, and I think they're the perfect example. And I think there's a sneaky thing nobody's realizing. The Chiefs, they make it sound like, oh, he did it with no receivers. He had Travis Kelce, arguably the greatest tight end of his generation, right?
Well, Kincaid's coming up.
And that's just it. You have Dawson Knox, who got a pretty nice contract a couple of years ago, right? It's a third of what these wide receivers are making. You have a cost-controlled rookie in Dalton Kincaid, who is more of a power-forward wide receiver than he is a tight end.
And if Coleman develops on a rookie deal...
Thank you. I mean, look, for all of these things to come together in year 1 would be difficult. But if this works... Brandon Beane's a freaking genius.
Well, and teams are going to have to come to grips with it because, like you said, you can't be paying everybody on the offense the way the teams are shelling out for wide receivers.
Well, so it's so interesting. You mentioned about 4 or 5 guys there. Any one of those 5 that hit, you have your new number 1. That's the great thing about it. And you have them under a contract that is affordable for the next few years because you're paying Allen so much more money. That's it's the combination of having this work for a 17-game season into the playoffs. That's the real interesting part about this. The health of this team, who will emerge. Shakur's still there. I mean, you still got a lot of different things you can play with. It just makes it interesting for the upcoming NFL season for the Buffalo Bills because I'm not quite sure yet who is their number 1 receiver.
Yeah, and I still skip to 2025 and think when you've got a chance and the money to build that roster the way you want it, again, without the big money on the wide receivers, you have a head start over a lot of teams who are shelling out these contracts.
You are, but now you're going back to traditional brain because you're thinking they're going to use that first-round pick to get a wide receiver up in the first round and they're going to have control over him. Don't forget, more than half of first-round wide receivers don't make it to their second contract with that team. They have the highest bust rate of any position. Maybe it's not about getting to 2025 to get a receiver. Maybe this is about remaking what an NFL offense looks like and spending your money on the defensive side.
I don't think I've asked this. What's your gut feeling about Coleman? Do you think he's going to be the guy?
I can't really tell. I got to see him at camp.
He's obviously the greatest wide receiver.
Of course he is.
I mean, that's a fair and balanced assessment.
God.
What?
That's why we have you here.
Mark the tape that he said that.